All right, so we talked a little bit about like your history, you coming up. Talk to me about like transitioning from your brother leaves, you buy him out, and now you are the guy. What was that? Were there any surprises? Was there anything that surprised you or shocked you?
I wouldn't say shock per se, but I mean, it's you. And even before my brother left, like you're learning as he's sending you off, hey, take these batch of guys, go do this small job or do this house or whatever. In your mind, you think you watch movies of like military or whatever, and the boss says something and you do it.
Yeah.
And you think, so then you think, hey, I'm in charge.
They're going to do what I say.
I'm 15. I got my little truck, little learner's permit, and I'm pulling a tool trailer. And there's 45-year-old guy, and I'm telling him, hey, let's do this. Let's go faster. Let's work harder. They're just like, shut up.
Yeah. Okay, kid.
I don't care. Like, and so in your mind, you get frustrated. They don't want to show up. You're pushing like I would be pushing hard. And then like they would almost not show up back from lunch on time. They would want
to troll you,
just to push the limits, just to let you know, hey, like I don't really care what you have to say. So I get frustrated and things like that. So by the time he left, I kind of figured out, or I was figuring out, hey, Kevin, you need to you're just set an example, and then lead through example more,
and
then respect them of their craft. They're in it. And then go more around about not telling them, but more of a coaching or not coaching, but
giving them autonomy, giving them their own voice.
Yes, like allowing them to, like I listen to Jocko on his part. They talk about like decentralized command and different things like that. And I never thought about it like that, but I started thinking, okay, hey, how would you do it? How do you want to do it? Okay, it's cool. And as long as the outcome was the same, I'd be like, let them kind of run it however they wanted. Didn't care. So you start putting it back in their court, and then they kind of, and when it failed, or if it did fail, well, then it wasn't like the young buck failed us.
They're not pointing fingers, but now.
No, I didn't want it to fail. I was trying to prove points, but most of the time it didn't. Usually the outcome comes the same and you move on. So you're trying to learn that. Probably the biggest thing that I was learning was personalities.
Yeah.
The learning how you have to lead each guy. You're leading each person differently.
Sure.
And learning their personalities. Just like,
because they're going to respond. One guy's going to respond to a butt chewing, and that's the only way he's going to respond. And one guy just got to ask him a question, and this guy,
And but on the butt chewing side of things, like I used to think it was cool to like throw things, or like not cool, but like to have big eruptions, and be like, not really thinking it was cool, but like
that's what you're supposed to do.
I'm like, I just let them know that the boss is mad. Well, looking back, you just feel like a moron when you think about like the explosions and the throwing things, and you feel stupid. But at the time, you think that's learning all those like to be in control. And I'm not always in control. I mean, I do slip up, but learning that, hey, let's be in more control than not.
Yeah, and what you're talking right there is like self-control or control of the situation.
The control of the situation. Control. Not. I was very bad at belittling. Like stuff would happen, and I would belittle people. That was bad.
Yeah.
So like learning to not belittle and not to what's the word? I could be very good with my words of like just cutting with my words and learning because learning that doesn't really get you nowhere.
Sure.
And all you did was
you created a fence.
Now we've got he's mad, I'm mad. We still got the problem.
Right.
The problem's still there. Instead of figuring out like, hey, how are we going to fix it? Let's move on.
Yeah.
And then later on, you try to address. You definitely need to be addressing it. But I now try to address. Hey, okay, if I am really just, livid, try to get the problem fixed, move on, and then like address it later. Like, hey, I'm calm. Everybody's calm.
Yeah.
Hey, what do we learn from that? How can we?
So okay, we're 20 years after. Today is a little over 20 years from when you started framing, and it's pretty cool how honest you're being about just your growth as a leader. For those that don't know, I hired Kevin as I was just a teacher. Hired him for a garage edition, and that's how we hooked up. And one thing I did notice was you're 36, and you have several guys that like more than a handful that have been with you and your brother or your brother for over 15 years. Like a few at 10, a few at 18.
Yeah. It's like all of that. I think Lee chose the been with us the longest. It's 2006.
Okay.
2005 maybe, I think.
Because I think Miguel and Pascual told me about 18 years.
They may be that long.
Yeah.
No, Mike? It can't be 18. Can't be 18. Maybe it is. Either way, long time.
Yeah, but we're talking about like belittling people versus not. When you want longevity as a crew leader, you can't have turnover, right?
Yes.
When problems arise, there's got to be trust of, well, we're going to get through this together. I'm going to respect you, and I expect to be respected. And
yeah, and you don't want to be a donkey. That's what, like whenever you're that's just you're immature. You can't control your emotions. That's not you. Like
you're being a 20-year-old.
Like yeah, if you have like a flyover, God takes you back, you die, and He takes you back, and you're flying over. There'd be some pretty embarrassing moments of like. So sometimes I do think people will disagree. There is times where you need to have forceful or maybe not force they need to see that, hey, this is like not okay. Well, like, this is insanity. What just happened? But because most of the time it's big building. Hey, I've been telling you about it, and then all of a sudden it's like, or it's just you've done something absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. But so like you're talking about, some people don't respond. If you're just like, oh, hey, it's okay, we're good, we'll figure it out. No, okay, no problem. But so some people need to see like, hey, like we are there, like this. I'm like, man,
I need to change.
We got to change.
I don't have experience in the experience you do of leading men and over years, but as a father, I do know with my sons, there is a healthy fear that is born in a son who knows the wrath of his father. And just because, like, we're talking about eruptions or whatever, you don't have to be out of love to maybe have an eruption, a display, some theatrics.
Well, it's like you have to make sure it's constructive. Like, mm-hmm. I've had GCs erupt on me, and it becomes belittling. That either we're stupid, we're retarded, like just belittling me or the guys that are working with us. That's where I'm like, hey, like, no, you're not going to like talk to us that way. Like, you have a legitimate reason to be upset, mm-hmm. and we probably should be getting screamed at. But belittling us
doesn't help.
That's not like that's not. You're not going to take it that far, and so that's where I would overstep it sometimes. But like, if you're losing your temper all the time, that's not good either. Like, either you're not leading well. I look at it as this: shines back on you. Either you're not leading well, you've hired wrong, you didn't communicate well. Like, it all just dumps back to you. If it's happening all the time with the same person, then it's more you.
Always.
It's your fault that you're like, it's getting to this point that you're erupting.
With the theme of today of labor management, that's a really cool overarching talking point there's issues with your labor, it's your fault. It's you. That's as the boss, as the owner, as the crew chief. Like, take accountability.
And it's a tough construction. Is a very everybody has their egos. Everybody has their, I don't know what you want to call it, but if you go too hard on holding guys accountable, depending on which guys, but most of them, and they'll quit. They don't want to be around you.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have to like delicately walk down a path of holding them accountable. If you want to have people long term. If you walk in there always just like just slamming that gauntlet down, most people are not going to stick with you. And I don't know if that's in other industries. I don't know, but in construction for sure.
Well, and I think just across all industries, it's very fair to say that consistency is going to be more profitable. High turnover in your labor force is not a great thing.